Hey, hi everyone. So I think let us start. So welcome and good evening, and I wish very happy new year to everybody who has joined. So I'm Abhishek, as you can see on my screen. I'm a product manager of Kylas, and today we have connected to touch base upon a very important topic, that is integration of BI and analytics tool with the Kylas marketplace applications, right? So this is a marketplace application that has been developed recently, and I will take you through below points that you can see on the agenda. So how to install this application, how to connect your Kailas database with any BI or analytics tool, how to generate complex and cross entry reports, and most importantly, what was the need of developing this application when we already have reports and dashboards in Kailas, right? Of course there are some shortcomings in the current reporting structure, and that is why there was a need of such an application, so that we will cover. And at the end of the session we will take question and answer, or meanwhile if you have any questions you can put it in the meeting chat, then we will respond them through chat, or we'll ask you to unmute and raise the questions towards the end. All right, so let us start. Let me share my screen and stop this PPT. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes, Abhishek. Yes.
all right. So let me, before taking you to the Power BI or any other BI analytics tool and what the marketplace application we have developed, let me quickly take you through what was the need of this applications. So I am assuming almost all of you are using Kailas. You are familiar of Kailas. If not, I'll quickly give you a walkthrough that Kailas is a sales CRM that we have developed, and there are many features with respect to automation, reporting, etc., with respect to lead management, where you can automate certain things in your business. Right? I think most of you might be using Kailas already for a long time now. So reports are something that is already available feature in Kailas. With the help of reports, what we can do is we can analyze the existing data of Kailas, and we can view the data in form of several charts. Like you can see on my screen, there is bar chart or pie or table or any form of the data. And by data, what I mean is, as you already know, there are leads available in the system, there are contacts, there are deals. So across all these entities, including call logs and tasks as well, we are able to generate some analysis. For example, if you want to track how many leads are owned by which user in Kailas, how much of the lead potential is available, what is the projected revenue, what was the revenue clocked by a user over a period of a month or year or so on, right? These are already available reports that we can generate in Kailas. For example, let me take you through some basic reports, and then swiftly I will move to what is not there in Kailas right now that we are able to achieve through BI and analytics. For example, I want to generate a report, number of contacts by cities. There is a property city available in contact, like any person in which city that person lives, that is the city. So I want to understand how many contacts are available with the corresponding cities. So this is my data in my system. I have little less data in the system as it is my test account, but in your system it might have a lot of data. So let us say I want to see the number of contacts by cities throughout the last year, like Jan 1st 2023 to December 31st 2023. So this is the number that comes in front of me, is that total there are 63 contacts, out of which 56 don't have any cities. There are four contacts who have Pune as a city, and there are some one contact with these random city values, right? So this is the bifurcation of number of contacts by cities. Let's have a quickly look on another report, which is with respect to deals. So I want to understand what is the deal revenue by each contact. Okay, so let us look on this second report, deal revenue by contact. So I want to understand, you know that there is a deal in Kailas which has a associated contact in itself, right? So let us say this is one of my deal. For example, this is my deal. You can see there is a associated contact with the deal. There are two contacts associated. There can be multiple contacts, right? So every deal is associated with a contact. So I want to understand how many number of deals are available with each contact and what is the revenue of the contact. So instead of number of deals, let us say I want to see some of the estimated value of that deal. I get to see these type of numbers. So until here, we are able to generate two reports. One is number of deals by contacts. Second is number of contacts by cities. But what if someone wants revenue by contact city? That means we want such a report that is available, the data, corresponding data is available across two entities of Kailas. One is deal, where revenue value resides, like estimated value or actual value we know already. And the other property which we want to look at is city, that it has existence in contact. We don't have cities in deals, neither we have revenue on contact, right? So we are interested in such a data where we want a analysis basis on the data that is available across two entities. I'm taking example of two entities, but of course you might want across multiple entities, like two or three entities with respect to task or meeting or whatever. So I'm taking a simplest form of example to explain how this BI and analytics will help you to achieve this kind of cross entity reports. You can of course scale it to more complex and you can include more entities. Okay, so far the problem in front of us is that we want analysis across two entities, deal and contacts, and that is readily that is not available readily in Kailas. That is pretty clear to us. Okay, now what do we do? So before going into BI analytics, I'll simply take an example of basic SQL, like how in real world, if this data was required, how we would have achieved that, and then how the BI and analytics tools are doing. I will come to that. Okay, so I've taken a simplest example. There is a table. Data is stored in form of a table, as we know, right? So there are, let us say there is a table of contacts and there is a table of deals. Some of you might be aware of SQL and other concepts, but I am trying to explain it from basics so that everyone who might or might not have idea can understand the concepts, and then we can quickly go to the BI and analytics that you must be already aware about. So the current problem statement is that we want to get a report across these two tables, right? Now one data is available in the deal table, second data is available in the contact table. The question in front of us is that how do we connect these two information? So you can see there is city information available in contact, there is revenue, sorry, there is revenue deal value is available in uh, deals. Now we want a report, the so we want CT on one axis and we want deal value on another axis. We want such a data where I can see cities on my x-axis and the revenue on the y-axis. If I would have wanted number of contacts by city, that you can see over here, so that is readily available within one table itself. So I don't have to do any effort. In Kailas, you can get this report. But we want slightly complex report where the data is coming from two tables. So the most important thing to connect these two tables is there should be one column which is common, right? So if we pay little bit of attention, there is a column ID which has value 100, 101 and 102. And there is a contact of, there is a column of associated contact which has same values, right? So basically we can search the data of one table to another with the help of these common contact. For example, we want revenue by city. So we want to first see there is this associated contact with ID 100 who has the deal value as 1000. Now, what is the city of this contact? How would we understand is we will go to the contact table. We will see who is the contact with the ID 100 and what is the city. So as of now, we came to know that ID 100 has a city value as Pune. Let us write this down. And the deal value is 1000. Okay. Next, we want to see next deal who has a contact ID as 101, which city is Mumbai, and the revenue against 101's deal is, let's say, 2000 rupees. Third one is 102, which is again having a city as Pune and the revenue as 1500. So what we can see from this data is simply the revenue by city Pune is 1000 plus 1500, which is, let's say, 2500, and the revenue from city Mumbai is nothing but 2000. Right? So this is pretty clear from this example that we have to connect two tables or two entities with a common connection. Then only we can get the data that we are looking for across two entities. Right? So this is the way any BI or analytics tool will be generating the reports around cross entity. The only important thing that we have to understand is the common point between these two tables. However, the way we have developed the database and other things, the connections are readily available, but it is important to understand because sometimes there are multiple connections available between a table. So we want to uh, see which connection is being utilized for a report. Right? So I hope until here things are clear. If there is anything until here, you can quickly put it in the meeting chat so that before going ahead, we can quickly understand and then we can continue. I'll wait for a minute. If at all there is any questions, we can see in the meeting chat. Else we can continue. All right. I think it seems there are no questions so far. So let us proceed. So we have understood a simplest example of cross entity report. Now let us talk about the BI and analytics app that we have developed, and then we will go to the actual application. So I am taking example of some of the BI and analytics tool like Tableau, Zoho Analytics. There is Power BI. There is Google Looker Studio. So any BI or analytics tool you are familiar with can be used to connect the database and generate the reports. So let us go back to how to connect the database, which is the first brick of this application. So for that purpose, we have developed an application called BI and Analytics integration that you can see on your marketplace. So you can click on this burger menu, you can go to marketplace, and when you will be on the all apps, you will scroll a little bit, you will see an application called BI and Analytics. On my account, I have already installed this application, so I don't have to reinstall it. But if you haven't installed, then you will see a install app button that you can install the application, and you can create your own account and you can configure. So we have explained the installation process and all those things in this how will it work section. All right. So let me quickly move to the application directly. Considering we have installed the application, we have created our account, and I have logged into the marketplace application. So as soon as you land on this marketplace application, you will see this help section where we have explained all the steps to use this application and setup that we will quickly cover in the webinar as well. But after that, if you want to try on yourself and you want to refer any help, so you can go to this section. Once the app is installed, first of all, we have to enter our Kylas API key to get the data. So that is straightforward. You will get the API key in the integration section. Second, we can go to the database connection details. Right now, database connection details, basically what we are doing in the backend is we are taking all of your data available in Kailash core database, and we are separating out on a separate database so that there is a separate database which has only your accounts data, no one else's data, which can be directly connected. So you need to activate this section actually with the help of our support team. So you can simply click on a CTA which is shown over here, enable database, and once the support team enables it from backend, you will be able to see the database details on your screen. Other than this, there is sync setting that we have to set up. So when you click on this sync setting, you can see there is a sync setting already created. If not, you can create a sync setting by clicking on the create sync setting button. And we need to select what entities we want to sync with any analytics tool. So uh, I will select all the entities actually. Let us assume we want to find reporting across all the entities. So in my case, I have selected all the entities and I have clicked on save and sync and I have made it active as well. Step two, there is view mapping. So in this screen, sorry, we don't have to do anything. It is just for reading purpose. So it represents the Kailas entities value versus the column name available in the database table. So for example, you can see created at is something that you see on the Kailas UI, but in the database table, when you will connect in your analytics tool, you will see the column name as created underscore at. So it is easy to understand, so that whenever you want to get a report across any value, for example, we can rename the value city to, let's say, shahar in Kailas. That customization is available, but in the database it will be named as city only. So we it is important to understand what is the value in Kailas versus what is the value in the database. So there is nothing to do over here, it is just for reading purpose. All right. So far what we have done is we have installed this application, entered the Kailas API key, generated the database connection. We have not yet connected the database. We have just generated the database connection details, and we have set up the sync settings as per the uh, my selection, what entities I want to see, and I have made that active. There is one more thing, historical data. This is also very important, because what happens is when you connect your database from today, this point of time, whatever activities are happening in your Kailas account, let's say a lead is getting created or updated, it is updated in the database through webhooks automatically on a regular basis. But if we want to sync the existing data in the system, for example, you are using Kailas for more than a year now, but you are opting for this analytics application today only. So you obviously are interested in getting the last year's data as well in the database, right? So for that purpose, we have given this historical sync setting, but there is a catch that this can be done only once. So this is very important, since you can see on my screen, I have already synced my data from 4th of April 2021. That was the day I started using Kailas. So I selected that day. So from that day till now, I have selected this date. And when I click on this save and sync, so what it does is it basically gets all your historical data from the given time period and it syncs in the database, so that the data in your Kailas account is exactly same as the data available in your analytics tool wherever you will connect the database. All right. And after this historical, whatever is getting changed in your Kailas account is automatically syncing through webhooks that we have internally created, and webhooks send the data regularly to the external database that we have created. Okay. So till now we have a database which has my data, and now I am ready to connect it to any analytics tool. Okay, so let us take an example of Tableau first. Okay, so I think Tableau is very popular tool nowadays that people are using. So in Tableau, how we can connect our data is simply when we go to Tableau and set up our project and other things, we can see this new section, and we can click on this published data source. When we click on this published data source, we can select from where we want the data. So now this is important that we have developed this database in PostgreSQL. Okay, I'll mention it in the meeting chat, right? So wherever the analytics tool, whichever the analytic tool that you want to connect with this, just look for PostgreSQL. So in Tableau, PostgreSQL is available in the connectors, and when we scroll it somewhere here, I think, yeah, this is PostgreSQL. Okay. Now here, what we have to sorry, what we have to enter as a detail is, you can see there is something called server. When I will go to my database connection details, I will see server slash host. Some analytics tool call this information as host, some calls it server, but they mean essentially the same thing. So what I have to do is I have to simply copy this server details from here, and I have to enter it over here. Port, let it be as it is. Second thing is database. What is the name of the database? So this is the name of your database. Every database has a unique name. This is the database of my account. Yours will be different. Then there are credentials. So this database is protected by username and password. So you have to enter your username and password over the analytics tool. And we have to select this require SSL and sign in. So this establishes a connection between W and the database. So now we have basically connected the Kylas database with Tableau, and you can see the tables that are available. So there are so many tables that we can see. There is deals, there is contacts. So there is a whole structure of tables that you can see, and all the tables are nothing but this kind of a structure. This is a very basic like level of a table, but if you scale it to a bigger number of columns, more rows, it is essentially the same in the database that is available, and this table can be seen. For example, if I want to see a table, so this is how the table will look like. So this is how we connect a database in Tableau. Let us have a quick look how to connect the database in Zoho Analytics as well, and then we will proceed for some reports. Okay, so in Zoho Analytics also you have to click on this explore, and there is, I think, if I click on create and data source, I can add a data source. Okay, and when I click on add a data source, I again need to find PostgreSQL, right? So I think Zoho Analytics has developed some intermediate app with the help of Heroku that facilitate the way to connect any PostgreSQL database with Zoho Analytics. When we click on that, we again see similar set of fields, like there is endpoint. This is nothing but server or host. There is port, there is password, username, password, and there is database name that is available in Kailash marketplace application. When we enter all this information and we click on next, the database is connected. In my account, I have already connected the database that you can see tenant underscore 691 or something. This is the unique ID. And you can see all the reports, all the tables that are available in my database, and that is visible in Zoho Analytics as well, right? Same set of tables were available on Tableau as well. Same set of tables are available on so analytics, because they are basically fetching it from the database that we have generated. Okay. Now these tables, let us have a look on any of the table just to understand and visualize and compare it with the data, how it looks like in Kailas, right? So this is one of the table of leads that is available to us. Now leads has some properties, as we know. So let me open the lead page on Kailas as well to give you a familiar look. Me select a column, for example, it's already selected. Let me drag it to first. Okay, so we have ID, we have a score, first name, name, owner, phone number, email. All these information is available in Kailas. The same set of information you will find in Zoho Analytics as well. You can see ID, first name, name, phone number, salutation ID. There will be some differences because obviously we have to, generate the reports, and there is a connection through unique identifications of the values. Like you can see salutation ID, that is not available in Kailas because that is a unidentified number that is not making sense on the UI, but it is important when we fetch the reports on the analytics tool. So this is a raw data of Kailas that is available in the analytics tool with us now. Same process, similar process actually is available in Looker Studio. It is slightly more complex. Like in Looker Studio, what you have to do is you have to connect the database multiple times for each table, because Looker Studio fetches one table at a time. So whatever the number of tables we have to connect the database that many number of times, but after that it again works smoothly. Same thing is doable in Power BI as well. If some of you use Power BI, Power BI also has a similar mechanism of entering these details and getting the data into the system. But there is one good thing with Tableau and Zoho Analytics is that what they do is they identify the relationship between two tables easily. Like you can see in this deal and contact table, the relationship is through this common column which is associated contact ID in this table and ID in this, right? So Power BI sometimes fails to detect the relationships and we have to manually create the relationships. However, we have explained how to create the relationships in this help section towards the end, but it is a little cumbersome process sometimes. But Zoho Analytics and Tableau do a better job in this. They, basis on the data, they identify the relation automatically. However, we have to monitor that at the time of generating the reports. Okay, so till now I hope things are clear. Again, if there is any questions, please put it in the meeting chat now so that we can proceed ahead with better clarity. I'll again take a pause for a minute and then we will go on. So far, just to summarize, what we have done is we have seen how Marketplace app is installed, how the databases are connected in Marketplace app, and how the database need to be connected in any analytics tool. We have taken two analytics tool example right now, Tableau and Zoho Analytics, but it can be extended to Looker Studio, Power BI, or any other tool you might use. Okay. So after this, we will have a look on the reports, how the reports are generated in uh, this Zoho Analytics or Tableau. All right. So let us go and generate some interesting reports that we always wanted to generate within Kailas that were not available so far, but now we can do it with the help of analytics tool. So one classic example that I took was deal value by city. So let us have a look on this report, how that report is basically generated. Okay. So I've already actually created a report. Let me go to this edit screen. Okay. So in Zoho Analytics, how uh, reports are generated is there are some filters, there are some x-axis and y-axis that we have to specify, and there is a relationship that we have to specify, and the sorry, Zoho Analytics pulls the data from the database and it presents in front of us. So let me clear this. I'll add for you again. Okay. So this is the empty screen in front of us to create a report. Now, what we want is, what is the ideal shape of our report is that we wanted city on one axis, just like Pune, Mumbai, and deal value on another axis. Okay. We will do the same thing over here as well. In the contacts table, you can see there are tables. These are all our tables. Okay. Now in the contact table, we have to find, so we have simply search for contact. So there is a table contacts. Now actually you will see multiple tables matching with contacts. So these tables are created to connect multiple tables. Like you can see there is a table called deal and contact. So it has two columns, deal ID and contact ID, and in the contact you can see ID. So basically what we have to do is, if we want a data from deal and contact, we have to connect three tables: contact, deal, and deal contacts, so that the deal IDs can be found in this table and the contact IDs can be found in this table. So this is a structure that we have created. We may touch base upon the structure in detail, or we can come up with another webinar to specifically discuss on the structure. But as of now, I'll whatever reports we will create in this session, I'll explain the database structure behind that, or you can explore it on your own as well when you will go to the tables. So our agenda is to generate a report where the city by revenue report, that is something that we are interested in. So our city properties available in contacts that we know. So it is very important to understand, what report we want to create and where the data is available. So that you will come to know basis on the Kylas experience, like how you are using Kylas. That will make sense to you that which information is available in which column, and those corresponding columns should be dragged, because that is the same thing we do in Kylas as well, right? So if some of you are not aware of Kylas reports, what we do is we basically choose dimensions, and so let me take an example of reports, contact reports only. So if I wanted a report number of contacts by cities, what I had to do is I had to select dimension as city. Dimension is nothing but the value on which I want to group the data. So I wanted to group by city. So I selected dimension as city. Now what is the data that I want to calculate? So I want to calculate how many number of contacts are there, or in the case of deal, what is the sum of estimated value, right? So this becomes dimensions and metrics in Kailas. Same in analytics tool, like they are representing it in terms of access. And they give you an option whether you want the actual value of that field in the access, or you want count or sum or something. It depends on the data available. Okay. So in the case of deal, I want to see on the y-axis sum of estimated value. Okay. So this is my estimated value. You see it automatically took the parameter as sum. Instead of sum, I could have some other values as well, like maximum of the values, some minimum, median, or whatever. So there are so many options available in analytics tools. When I click on the view the generate graph, it shows me these kind of a data. Now there, if let us say there is a city called UJN. All right. Now when I click on that, you can see there are 6 deals available, uh, which has such a contact associated who has city as Ujjain. Let us verify this. All right. So this is the deal ID. Let me go to a deal ID. This is my deal ID. Okay. And this is the associated contact with this. Let us have a look. What is the city value available in this? So you can see city is available as UJN, right? So here in Zoho Analytics, we are able to fetch the data from 2 different tables. So we are right now able to see the corresponding deal IDs which is available in front of the contact who belongs to a city called Ujjain. And what is the sum of estimated value is also visible over here. Actually, you cannot see in this graph because the problem is this particular graph has taken a bigger space which is superseding other graph. That is why there is no bar in this. But let me do one thing. Let me filter out. Okay, so let me use some filters, and let me specifically filter out the data for Ujjain, Ujjain. Okay, so now you can see I just filtered out for Ujjain. You could have filtered out for any other. So you can see the total estimated value of the deals available with the contacts who belong to city Ujjain is this one, 604250, and this number can be cross verified from Kailash data as well if you want. Okay, so with the help of this cross entity report, we are able to generate a data revenue by city, which was not readily available in Kailas because these two information were available in two different entities that were not we were not able to connect them directly in Kailas. However, like there was a common connection which is contact ID, because what happens is on every deal there are associated contact IDs, and that is where we are able to bring this data. So we have to always make sure that whatever cross entry report we are trying to look for has a mutual connection in between in the database, then only this will be. Now how that mutual connection is being established is very important to understand. So in Zoho Analytics, they give this option over here, view paths used in this report. When you click on this, so you understand what are the tables being involved to generate this report. Okay, so you can see there are three tables that Zoho Analytics automatically identified to generate this report. I can of course change it. So just in case if as a user I feel Zoho Analytics has not identified the tables correctly, I can always change this path to something else, right? So I have to look for the correct path, and this knowledge will come to you like when you learn the structure of tables and the commonalities between multiple tables. Okay, and as I mentioned, I'm sure, I mean, this information might be little bit overwhelming to you, but when you will start using this application and you will practice connecting more and more uh, reports, then I think this information will be very straightforward and understandable to you. Now, why this important? I'll tell you one example. Okay, so this is cross-entity report that is very clear to us. Let us look on another report. Okay, so let us look at a report. Let's say number of deals by owner. Let us say that report. So that report, anyways, is available in Kailas directly, right? Deal by owner. If I want to see, okay, deal by owner and revenues instead of revenue, let us keep it simple to number of deals only. So dimension mein we have selected owner, there is no filter, there is number of deal, and the time range is last year, right? This data is available to us. Now let us try to generate a similar report in Zoho Analytics, and we'll try to understand what is the value of this connection of tables. So what we want is we want to count the number of deals. So in order to count the deals, we want to count the IDs actually. And here, instead of sum, we are interested in the count, and we are interested in a distinct count, like one ID should be counted only once. And we want the name of that user who is owning this deal. So user information is available in user table. Owner is a user. On the deal, you have the owner ID. You can see there is owner ID, but there is no information of that user, like their name, their email, their phone, their department. That information is available in the users table. So we want to look onto the users table, and we want the name of that user. So we want, let's say, first name of that user on my x axis. Okay, so we can see some data, like there is this user called Abhi who has 203 deals. There is a user called Karan who has 42 deals. But in this, if you will notice, we have not specified that the user that we are seeing is a owner or a creator, because on a deal table, I will show you, there are multiple columns who have user as a property. So owner is one property that we know in Kailas as well. So if we look into Kailas, owner is also a user, created by is also a user, updated by is also a user, right? But here we are specifying that which user we are interested in. We are interested in a user who is the owner. But in Zoho Analytics, we have not specified which user we are interested in. Okay. So how we specify is something that the relationship come into picture. So Zoho Analytics identified that we want a data between deals and users. Okay, but which column it has referred is created by ID. You can see it has not picked up owner ID. So in short, Zoho Analytics right now is showing this data: number of deals by created by. If we apply similar filter, the numbers will be same for the last year, right? Here there is a filter of last year. I think here there is no date filter. That is why the number might be mismatching. Okay, but the idea is which column Zoho Analytics has picked up to get the data. So by default, Zoho has picked up created by, but as a user, I am interested in owner. What I will have to do is I'll have to go to this table. I'll have to select this created by. Instead of created by, I will have to select owner ID. So Zoho identified what are the columns with which are having user IDs, but there are multiple columns. So we have to tell Zoho that boss, you have to connect this column instead of created by. Okay. Now I've changed this to owner ID. Now when I will apply, the numbers will slightly change because now the connection has been established basis on the owner ID. All right. Is this clear? And this was very important because sometimes what happens is we are in an impression that analytics tool has understood everything on its own, but that is not the case. There are few things that we have to still do manually to get the actual data that we are looking for. I think most of you might be knowing these analytics tools much better than me, but today here I am basically trying to explain in the context of Kailas how these analytics tools are to be used. Same thing is can be done in Tableau as well. So here also you can see need more data. It is asking to drag drag the table. Okay, so this is the data. Now, if we were interested in deals and users, okay, so what it does is I have dragged the table called deal, and let us say I am dragging a table of users. Now here we have to establish a link between these two tables. When I click on this, it actually suggests what are the possible connections. So what I can do is I can select owner or created by. Again, this is same as this thing, Zoho Analytics. In the user table, I am looking for ID. ID. This one, IDs. Okay. So now it has established a connection between deals and users table basis on owner ID. I could change it to created by ID as well. So this connection of two tables has to be done in Tableau as well. In any analytics tool, up to some extent, they will identify the connections, but we still have to make them bring them to the correct point where we are actually looking for. Okay, so I think I wanted to cover this much only in this table, in this session actually. I'll quickly show Power BI for some of the people who are interested, and then we can open for Q&A. Okay, let me share my screen again. Let me show Power BI. Can you see my Power BI screen?
Yes, Abhishek, okay.
All right. So in Power BI also, we can connect the database. So in order to, sorry, in order to connect the Postgres SQL, we have to go to get data. We have to click on more, and in more, we have to search for PostgreSQL database, and we have to click on connect, and it again asks for similar information: server, database, and it will ask for the username and password in the next screen. And when you provide all this information, the database will be connected, and the tables you can see on my right hand side, they will look like this. If we are interested in the model view, we can see the model view as well. Now, model view in Power BI is nothing but all the tables and the relationships. So in Power BI, they call it a relationship. So the relationships between two tables. Now, there is a catch with Power BI is that Power BI is somehow not able to identify all the relationships on its own, right? Few relationships it identifies, but there is a problem that we have to build all the relationships, almost all the relationships manually in Power BI. Either you can do it through new, and you select a table, then you select another table, for example user, and then there is a owner ID that we have to select versus the ID, you know and then it cardinality has to be defined many to one, or one to many, or many to many, then this direction, and then we are able to make a relationships. And also it sometimes give an error, because in Zoho Analytics as well, we saw at a time only one relationship can be active. Like if you have owner ID versus user ID, it can be only owner ID or user ID. If you want a data with respect to created by ID and user ID, then we have to again go and change the relationship, right? So that is a challenge, little I feel as a challenge. But if you are habitual of using Power BI and you are able to do all these things fastly, you can do. So there is other way to create a relationship as well. Like if I want to build a relationship between these two tables, for example, I can simply drag it over here, and it generates a link. It identifies the column, and I just have to mention the cardinality and other things, and it creates relationships. But once these relationships are created nicely, I think Power BI is very very powerful to, because they have also developed this NLP, where what I can do is I can simply type that what report I want. So in Zoho Analytics or Tableau, what we had to do is we had to drag the columns and the values in order to generate a report. That is available in Power BI also, but Power BI gives you another option. Let's say I want to see number of deals by owner. Okay, so it actually, as and when I type my statement, it automatically understand that what is the meaning of number of deal. That means we are interested in count of IDs. And what is the meaning of by owner? That means we are interested in the data where the ownership is in coming into picture. So that is a very good thing being done by Power BI, and it is very easy to generate reports that you can see on my screen. Also, I have generated many such reports, and these reports are pretty old, and I have not used it for long. I think the data might be old as well. I need to refresh this. But the idea is, once the database is connected and relationships have been built, then Power BI is really really powerful to generate complex report. It is even better than Zoho or Tableau. Zoho and Tableau might have a better user interface in terms of understanding to a user. But if someone who is very expert in Power BI, and they are very used to with it, they are, I think they like Power BI, as I think some of you mentioned in the meeting chat as well. So you can of course opt for Power BI, and you can connect the database, manage the relationships, and you can start building the reports in Power BI as well. You will see all everything, like whatever we have seen in Tableau and Tableau and Zoho Analytics. You will see everything in the Power BI as well. There are some settings, I think, with respect to this data source we have to change. Like we have mentioned actually in the document. So in the data source, we have to, with respect to this permissions, we have to change few things. We have to enable this privacy level to none. I think privacy level is set to some value, public or something by default. We have to make it none. And encryption, we have to turn it off to connect the database. Otherwise, it gives some error. We are still trying to figure out how to connect the database without making these changes. But as of now, we have we are able to only do it through these change in the settings only. So these are some special things that come in front of us when we want to connect Power BI. There is one more thing that in the options, I'm not sure if you are able to see my full screen. Let me reshare. So in the options as well, we have to, I think with respect to data, there is some checkbox that we have to remove. We have mentioned it in the document. And so there are two, three tweaks that we have to do when connecting Power BI. But once all these things are done, we are very good with Power BI. Like then Power BI works like nothing. You can get any type of data, any reports, and cross entry report, or the best thing as I mentioned is NLP that they have developed. So I can simply write and get my reports. That is very good and important thing with Power BI. Okay, so I think in the interest of time, I will take a pause over here. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Bye.